لله نحمده ونستعينه الحمد لله الأول بلا أول كان قبله والحمد لله الآخر بلا آخر يكون بعده الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وعبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد المحمود الأحمد حبيب إله العالمين أبو القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم عباد الله أوصيكم بتقوى الله وإطاعة أمره قال الله تبارك وتعالى من بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم في القرآن الكريم وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. My dear brothers and sisters, again, as it is the last Jum'ah for the Hajj to complete their rituals, and inshallah ta'ala, the 10th day of the Hajj, which is supposed to be this coming Tuesday, it will be the Eid al-Adha, the returning of all of us to that huge light of the unity of the Ummah in Mena. The Ummah is supposed to become united in accordance to the Hajj that every year is taking place by the command of Allah in the house of Allah, and the people of Allah will come together to express their unity and to establish the nation of Ibrahim alayhi salam, which is the part of the whole humanity. Let me take you a little step back and then we'll find out what is the usbah in Islam, which Hajj is completely against it. Usbah is a group of the people when they become united under one agenda. What you call it is nationalism, capitalism, any ism is called usbah in Arabic. So inshallah ta'ala, we will get to that part with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First we will see the first house that has been established for the humanity. Inna awwala baytin wudi'a lin-nas. The first house that has been established for not Muslims but for humanity, the whole humanity. Lin-nas. Makkah Mubarakah. It was the Kaaba that was established. Whether Adam alayhi salam, when he came with his wife, they established it, or it was the first house that it was ever established, that is called Kaaba, that was later on, as we will see. وَإِذْ بَوَّأْنَا لِإِبْرَاهِيمَ مَكَانَ الْبَيْتِ. We showed Ibrahim alayhi salam where that bayt, that house was, and Ibrahim alayhi salam rebuilt it. So we will see that this house is for all humanity. أَوَّلَ بَيْتٍ وُضِعَ لِلنَّاسِ, for the whole human race, not for Muslims. The second part is, after Ibrahim alayhi salam passed all of his tests, all of the problem and all of the things that he was given, he says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. I make you, Ibrahim, for the whole humanity the Imam. Nas. Not for Muslim, not for Mu'minin, not for you. إِنِّي جَاعِلُكَ لِلنَّاسِ إِمَامًا. I make you for the whole human race to be Imam. That means there is a house, there is a command center, that it is for the whole human race, and there is an Imam in there, Ibrahim alayhi salam, that it is for all human race. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells Ibrahim alayhi salam, after the house is completed, he says, وَأَذِّنْ فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ. Announce among the people to come to Hajj. يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا. People will come by their feet, and from every depth and the valleys they will come for that purpose. We have mentioned it. This is a biggest gathering of the humanity since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted takes place on the face of the earth. No such a thing has been happening and will happen on earth as big as this one. No matter what government spend how much money, what organized group spend whatever that they want to, they will not be able to bring millions of people together in such a beautiful gatherings on the face of the earth, and it will increase if the Saudi family allows it, inshallah. Now, وَأَذَّنْ فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ. for the whole humanity to come to Hajj. You will see that humanity is going to come. On that time when Ibrahim alayhi salam asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Advent Fennas in the city of Mecca, it is only me, my wife and my son. Who should I announce it to? He says, وَعَلَيْكَ الْأَذَانُ وَعَلَيْنَا الْبَلَاغُ. You go ahead and call it. I will take that message throughout the whole earth. And he did. Many of you that I see your faces, alhamdulillah, you have gone to Hajj anyway. And you knew that the people are coming from every corner of the earth. For what reason? Allah said it, so I go. I have to go because He said it. Therefore, we will see when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is announcing that وَأَذِّنْ فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ, go ahead and announce to the humanity to come to Hajj. يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا, people are coming by their feet, by varieties of the needs. What do they do? What is the reason? One of the main reasons that you all know it is get rid of that asabiyya, that concept of isms, be it nationalism, tribalism, any kind of the ism. You know that. Everybody that has gone to Hajj, they see in Arafat, there are always boundaries and borders for varieties of the groups that you are sitting here. Each group has its own tents in Arafat. What is Arafat? Is the hall of the whole ummah to come together. Since there is no big room like that for millions of people, therefore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designated that area by the movement of the sun and the moon to come to this huge gathering. And they all go to Arafat. What's the meaning of Arafat? You all know, to become acquainted with each other. What's the concept of Arafat? Wuquf bil Arafat, to become aware of this concept of acquaintance with each other. So this is the part that we do. Even though our staying there has to be by the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the sun, that it is from noon to Maghrib. The moon of the heaven will tell you the 9th day of the Dhul Hajj is a day that the Ummah will come together on this beautiful, huge gatherings of Arafat. And daytime, you get to know each other. And then on that part, unfortunately, the way that you are looking at it, it is asabiyya a little bit. And other nationalities are in various corners of that Arafat. But yet, this asabiyya will be taken off in the evening of that day. When the qurub comes, you probably know it. Many of you have seen it. And I'm sure that you remember one more time. When the sun sets, that asabiyya is over. That concept of isms and nationalisms will be wiped out. How? All the tents will be removed, and then the ummah, or the people, will move together on Mash'arul Haram, a place of shu'ur in the harim of Allah, in the boundaries of Allah, with the wisdom that you have given to me, that on daytime I saw all of these people, now in the evening that I don't see them, they all come together and they pack each other on the hat of Mina, on the area that I have to come to my wishes, Mina, to come to see what am I supposed to do. And then that asabiyya is over now. What do you do if that asabiyya doesn't come back to you? If that isms and group gatherings, or as you would call it probably, if you take it in a negative part, it is what is mentioned in, of course we call it, organized crimes should not take place. What should we do? Then he says, okay, while you're staying in Mash'arul Haram, or closer to Mina, which is Muzdalifah, why don't you pick up the pebbles? Why don't you pick up the stones? For what reason? Pick up 49 stones that you need. Maybe you will miss some of it. Pick up a few extra stones. To do what? Get rid of that asabiyya. Get rid of I, me, myself. To become us, we, then him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is what we do. We did, didn't we? We picked up the pebbles. And we attacked the Jamaratul Aqaba. The first, the head of the shaitan. The one that he says, Asabiyya must be within me. I should become us as we did in Miqat. Us has to be him because he grants us that I to become us. He brought us to Miqat. So in reality, there is no more Asabiyya of I, but rather it is us in order to be with him. And that has happened. Now the stones that it is gathered together by me, what do we do with it? The command of Allah comes by the sun. He said, when the sun, you see the sun rise, then go ahead and attack Jamaratul Aqaba. What is Aqaba? What is that Aqaba that you're talking about? Free yourself from the slavery of I, me, myself, to be the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the word of Aqaba means. It's the same thing that when Ibrahim alayhi salam, he says to his son, Ya bunayya, inni ara fil manam, inni adbahuka, fandur mada tara. My son, I had in my dream that I have to go ahead and sacrifice you. I want you to think what you are going to see of what I'm telling you. In other words, Ismail, don't you want to see that I have to take you to an area somewhere and sacrifice you? Do you see that? And Ismail alayhi salam, the answer that he gives to his father, Ya abati, if'al ma tu'mar, satajudani insha'Allah min as-sabirin. Father, my dear father, do what you are ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Insha'Allah, you will see me to be patient in whatever that I do. And then you will see that when Ismail alayhi salam is submitted and Ibrahim takes him to that place, and then he says, I have to go ahead and sacrifice him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders to Ibrahim alayhi salam, قَدْ صَدَّقْتَ الرُّؤْيَا. In fact, Ismail is not going to sacrifice. But the order to Ibrahim is, your ru'ya became a reality. You have done it. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. The great sacrifice has taken place. What is that sacrifice? Ismail is not mine. Ismail is yours, and command is yours, and it is yours. And no doubt, whatever you give in the path of Allah, it will come back to you anyway. Much more than that. So Ismail is back to Ibrahim alayhi salam, but the lamb has been given to Ibrahim to be sacrificed. That we sacrifice usually on the Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Qurban. Now, وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. Is it finished? All the Mufassirin, especially Allama Yusuf Ali mentions it. وَتَرَكْنَا عَلَيْهِ فَالْآخَرِينَ. But we left it for latter dates. When is that latter dates? What is it that is going to happen later on? Later on, from the progeny of Ismail alayhi salam, which it come to Muhammad and all Muhammad, they will see the grandson of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Muhammad Hussein alayhi salam, has been sacrificed the same way that Ismail was supposed to sacrifice. But this time, not by his father, but by Allah's command, that Allah wants to see me to be sacrificed, as he said, as Imam Hussein said. So he was, and his head was taken off his body, as you probably know, on the day of Ashura. Now, وَتَرَكْنَا عَلَيْهِ فَالْآخَرِينَ. It was left for later on. Now we will see that system of Asabiyya is over by the command of Allah in Hajj. But we will see there are other ayat in the Quran and Ahadith that how bad is Asabiyya, how bad is isms, or group gathering to become a part of this group. What is that Asabiyya in our group, for example? If we talk about, I belong to a nation of Pakistan, I have to be only caring about the Pakistan. I belong to Iran, I have to only care about. No, we are ummat, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ummatan wasata. لِتَكُونُ شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. To be the ummah of wasata, the middleman between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and humanity, nas. And then Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is not the Rasul of any nationalities of Arabs and Ajams. He is the Rasul of the whole humanity. And when Imam Mahdi comes, Imam Mahdi is not the Imam of any or at all any nations but the nation of Islam, which it is all nationalities. When this happens, then we will see the political view of Hajj as it is no longer any nations, even though if they call themselves Saudi Arabia, which it doesn't belong to them, anyway, it belongs to the whole Ummah, it will become a day that the Haramain will become the Haramain for the whole Ummah of Islam, inshallah ta'ala, and that law will be established on earth. We go back to Quran. What is Asadiyya? That Allah does not like it at all, and He's rejected it. You will see Asadiyya created a lot of problems. This nationalism, this groupisms had caused all of the wars that we have in the Muslim lands. It is due to the same thing. My people, my group, my tribe. And that is how the problem is everywhere. We will see that Yaqub alayhi salam has 12 sons. 10 sons will get together and create usba, create a group, organized group, if you want to call it, in reality, on that part. What this organized group did? We go back to the Surah Yusuf, Surah 12, and ayah number 8. إِذْ قَالُوا لِيُوسُفَ أَخُوهُ أَحَبُّ إِلَىٰ أَبِينَا مِنَّا وَنَحْنُ عُصْبَةٌ. We know that they were saying that our father likes Yusuf and his brother Benjamin more than us, because in fact these two are from separate mothers. Yusuf and Benjamin are from different mothers. As you probably know the story, when Yusuf was born, his mother died. Yusuf became a Nabi, and then he was loved by Yaqub alayhi salam, his father. And now 10 brothers get together, we say, وَنَحْنُ عُصْبَةٌ. We 10 are together from one mother, while Yusuf and Benjamin is from another mother. So the concept of my tribe becomes the issues. And what do? Finally, they decide, أَقْتُلُ Yusuf. Let's kill Yusuf. Or at least do something about that. And you know the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, that finally with their own brothers, that the brothers became an organized group, they were supposed to get rid of Yusuf alayhi salam. The other part during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as we read it in Surah Tawbah, Surah 24, ayah 11, we will see, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ جَاءُوا بِالْإِفْكِ أُسْوَةٌ مِنْكُمْ لَا تَحْسَبُوهُ شَرًّا لَكُمْ بَلْ هُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. Now there is a group of people at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, they go and they make some kind of the ifk, which is the big lie. Against who? We don't want to go through this hadith, because in any rate, we reject this hadith anyway. But let's say they go and they make some kind of a group, organized lie against Rasulullah's wife, which is rejected by all of us, inshallah ta'ala. No such thing exists. And then they spread that rumor throughout the Arab nations. And then what do they say? This group, they call themselves Usba. Bil-Ifke Usbatun minkum. They, 4 or 5 of them get together and they say, let's spread rumors against the Rasulullah. In fact, any group that you're looking about, there is such a thing. A few people amongst the group will go ahead and say, we heard. The same people that say, we heard, that means they are the same one that they spread the rumors. We heard such and such says such and such and such. That is what you call it, usba. That is what we are talking about. Any group that becomes deteriorated is because a few people come and create something against the other group. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, this is, don't think that this is sharrun lakum. This is not bad things that is happening in our group. Bal huwa khayrun lakum. Why? It is good for you. You recognize that there are in every group a few people that they will come, unfortunately, with a sick heart in order to create divisions among the Muslim Ummah. You know the stories of how it has been happening many times in our group, which is not unfortunately kind enough to talk about that issue. Therefore, we will see that the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he talks about what is the usba, he says, al-ulfatu wa didduhu usba. the unity and the love together. Against it is usba. Such a bad things we do. When you have a group of people that they work with each other and they have a lot of love and respect for each other, suddenly you will see some group comes and he wants to deteriorate that love and working partnership together. This is called usba. This is called organized crime. That is what we're talking about. Man akhadahu asabiyya jar. Anybody that suddenly, when there is a discussion group, there is something that is happening, he says, let me go ahead and defend my people. Why? It seems like he's Afro-Americans. He's better than other people. So why don't I go ahead and, regardless of what is happening, support him? This is called asabiyya. As soon as this happens to you, as soon as this comes to your mind, it is called darkness and crime against that human being. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us and make us to be that ummatun wahida. One nation. Remember one more time. We put boundaries and borders in our land. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ. To Allah belongs from east to the west. But we created that boundaries and borders and called it varieties of things. Even though if we did, Surah Al-Hujarat, we read that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He made us قَبَائِلَ وَشُعُوبًا لِتَعَارَفُوا. He made you different shapes and faces to recognize each other. But remember, إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. The one that is closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that it is closer to taqwa, being with Allah, accepting Allah with Him, and know that whatever that I do is with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inshallah, قدر الله سبحانه وتعالى وإن شاء الله يوغنا وبرجاله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه. الحمد لله القاسم الجبارين مغير الظالمين مدرك الحاربين نكال الظالمين صريخ المستصرخين موضع حاجات الطالبين معتمد المؤمنين. الحمد لله الذي من خشيته ترعد السماء وسكانها وترجف الأرض وعمارها وتموج البحار ومن يسبح في ثمراتها. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد المحمود الأحمد حبيب إله العالمين أبو القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. عباد الله اتقوا الله وكونوا من الصالحين. Such a beautiful and wonderful would be when Imam Mahdi Ajalullah Ta'ala Farajul Sharif comes and then get rid of, with our help inshallah ta'ala, all of these asabiyya. That all the wars and all the problem that is befallen in our ummah is due to that nationalism, tribalism, and all the isms that is taking place. I am better than you because I come from that part of the earth and you are from the other part of the earth. Yet we know the earth will not become an earth if the command of Allah and the heaven is not governing the earth. The earth will never become a place of living if the sun from the heaven does not shine on it and the day and night will not take place. The earth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should accept this concept that when Shaitan was rejected by Allah for rajim, or being away from, it is due to his arrogance. I am better than you. Why? He calls him his own self. خَلَقْتَنِي مِنْ نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِنْ طِينٍ. You created me from the flame, you created human being from the dust. Now this is where the reasoning comes to him. Some of those reasoning unfortunately come to us too. As what means? The means of whether I'm richer, whether I have a better rank by some people, whether I have been given a doctor, various degrees by somebody, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says all of those are fathomable, are okay. But إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ, the one that is closer to Allah's command, and his taqwa is close to his karama, to his nobility of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask him, inshallah ta'ala, for those of us that we came from Hajj, take the message of Hajj, that it had taken asadiyya away from us and made us ummatan wahida. We take it that when we come to our masajid, when we come to our organizations, leave all of that asadiyya away from us and live according to a unity of our ummah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us and give us a wisdom when the kuffar are planning and plotting against us to divide us. We recognize their plot and stay away from all the problems that they create for our ummah. We ask him, Ya Allah, help us to be what you want us to be, than what we want to be, inshallah ta'ala. Inna Allah ya'mur bil adli wal ihsan wa ita'i zil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'idukum la'allakum tadhakkarun wa la dhikrullahi akbar wallahu ya'lamu ma tasna'un. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Wal 'asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. قوموا إلى صلاتكم.